son was doing, and in a secret way, wishing he were doing those things. He had the same desire to do all those things, he just didn't do them. But he's just as separate as the younger son. Both of these sons are basically in the same boat, only one of them went and did it, and the other one only thought about it. But they were both separated. Anyway, you killed the fatted calf, and he said to him, this is the father now, son, thou art ever with me. All that I have is thine. And I'll turn the page. All that I have is thine. It was proper. Meet means appropriate. We should make merry and be glad, for this thy brother was dead and is alive again, was lost and is found. Now Jesus told this story to illustrate the difference between the sinners who were gladly flocking to him and the Pharisees who were the holier than thou, who would not come to him. They wouldn't come in. They stayed out. But here's the point. Here's the point I was going to make. The son was his father's son, and he got himself in a bad situation, but he came to himself. And he came back, and everything was fine. But see, he didn't lose his status. The father didn't say, now because you've gone out and done these things, I'm cutting you off, brother, and you're gone. You're a goner, and that's it for you. Now that's, to me, that's good enough motivation to understand why we don't want to do, act like the world, because we don't want to end up in a situation like the world, live in a pig pen. Now here's what I meant to say. Paul, writing to Philippians again, said, I have a desire to depart and be with Christ, which is far better, but to abide in the flesh is more needful for you. Now, Paul's attitude about it was, as long as I'm living, he said, Christ is living in me. Paul's attitude about it was this, I'm walking around here in the flesh, and it's Christ's life that's motivating me. Now, this means that Paul had adopted what I would call a spiritually minded attitude. Paul saw himself not as somebody who's trying to be good enough to get into heaven, but as somebody in whom Christ dwells and who can be an influence just by living his life, who can be an influence on those around him by doing nothing more than just, we're not all preachers. I mean, we don't all, and the fact of the matter is, it's good that we do this on Sunday morning, but if you got the idea that you're going to go into Walmart and preach to people, that's not the right place to preach. But you can be an influence on people at Walmart even if you just live like Jesus would, just act like Jesus would do. Even at Walmart, of all places, anywhere in your life, and that's the point of it. And we can be an influence because Christ lives in us, just like Paul said. Paul said, I was crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, Christ lives in me. That's the attitude that he had.